Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood number RM851 BSP black suede powder coat tall flat top mounted door stop. So let's take it out of the packaging and take a closer look and see what this is all about. The RM851 is the taller version of the RM850, which is the most common of these Rockwood stops that we sell. And it's basically right here. This cap is threaded at the top, okay, which allows you to not only install your rubber bumper, but it will also allow you to get the unit installed down to the floor as well. So this is BSP, black suede powder coat. It's black, it's powder coated, but I think they use the term suede to give you, I think it's a marketing term is what it is. Powder coat is not glass smooth, okay? Powder coat does have a slight texture to it, and it's because the way that the paint, the particulate, when it's sprayed onto the surface, kind of collects. And I think they use it as a marketing term to say, hey, this isn't going to be super glass smooth like polished brass plating would be. So they call it black suede powder coat. You could just call it black powder coat. I've never had anyone contest the fact that it does have a very light texture to it. Very, very light. Now, the rule of thumb when it comes to powder coating is they'll powder coat the least expensive base material. Well, in the RM850 series, they're made of brass. So they don't have them in stainless, so they're going to be powder coating brass. But if you had push plates that are available in aluminum, brass, bronze, stainless, other materials technically, when you order something powder coated, they're going to powder coat the least expensive base material, which means aluminum. So be mindful if it's going to be powder coated. Feel free to dictate or specify is the better word. Specify the base material so there's no misunderstandings in that regard. So let's take a little closer look at this item. Now let's go over some dimensional properties. We'll assemble the item together. And first of all, the replacement bumper, it's linked to down below if you needed a replacement or you knew automatically that you were going to need replacements. You'd be best served by ordering more of them immediately so that you're saving the shipping. If you've got a very high volume door like you'd see in a restaurant, in a airline lounge, in a airport, you're going to see lots of use on this to the point where it's unusual to replace these. But this RM series has only been on the market for so many years, so we're not looking at these being 20 years old. At least I don't think we are. There is an option to select gray or black. This client has requested gray, so here it is. Okay. Threaded cap. And that's all there is to this. Okay. Dimensional properties. They state that it's 2.5 inch height, and that it's 1.25 inch in diameter. Not light. It weighs 0.82 pound. At least it does with its screw pack, which is pretty nice. You're going to get obviously a wood screw, a plastic anchor should you need it, a machine screw, and a lead anchor if you need it. So if it's masonry, if it's wood, if it's some sort of surface that you want to use a plastic anchor in, what's nice about ordering this material from Rockwood is that this is a very common screw package. There's no trips to the hardware store at union wages per hour to get a box of screws. You're probably going to have it all covered right here. The only thing that you won't get is any sort of a Torx or a security type screw, which you do require special knowledge to be able to get that turned out. So because the screws aren't concealed, because the screws are not exposed, security screws would really not be a standard option. Now the height on the RM851 is a little bit taller than the RM850, and we'll get to that in a moment. But a nice piece of equipment. Heavy, very typical, very common. Now why would you use this one over the RM850, which is shorter? We don't sell a lot of these because of its height. You have a lot of doors where this undercut is typical. 7/16, ½ inch, 5/8, 3/4. Holding this holding it upside down, you can see that you'd be able to tolerate quite a large undercut. If you had an unusual undercut, an inch or more, you would want a taller unit. But the other area where you're going to use these taller units is when you have an application where you have a normal undercut, but when the door or doors get open to 90 degree, well, that floor pitches away, and now a 1/2 inch undercut is really 1 1/4 inches by the time it gets out to where the door would need to make contact with this. So be mindful of that. I'm really not a fan of it being larger than it is. I think too much hardware is never a good thing. Projecting hardware is not a good thing. So don't specify it just because it's taller. And plus, if it's a wood door, I really wouldn't want this making contact with that area above the bottom rail, where unless it's a bonded particle core door, you'll have a void between the wood rail and where the particle board is. If it's bonded, you wouldn't have that, but you're going to have certainly a softer structure where the particle board is. So just to use a taller unit to have this make contact with the door that it has particle board underneath, I think would be technically a disadvantage. Speaking of disadvantages, I recently saw an RM850 installed, and it was like this, and it's because that door was pushed in really far. The downside of that is because it has a single mounting point. If you have an application that you know is going to be high volume, you'll probably want to look at a unit that has 2 mounting points. Make it a more durable, long-lasting installation. Let's switch to the screen view so we can take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Okay, so here is the item that we are looking at, the RM851. This is a stock image, and by the time you're seeing this video, that will be replaced. The link to the 2 replacement colored bumpers are here. The cut sheet is here. Let's take a look at that. And that's just what would come out of the catalog of this item for this item. And it does refer to the other finishes. 605 is polished brass, 606 satin brass, 612 satin bronze, 613E, that's a powder-coated dark bronze equivalent. It's not oil rub bronze, it's a powder-coated dark brown color. 614 is 614 is a US 10BL. I believe that to be a lacquered oil rubbed bronze look. Satin oxidized clear coated. Yeah, okay, lacquered. When I said lacquered, they said clear coated. So same thing. So I've you can get that US 10B with a lacquer over it. And then, of course, polished 625 is polished chrome, 626 satin chrome, 630 stainless steel. They apparently do offer it in stainless. I'm surprised they didn't powder coat stainless to make this item. Now, that US 10BL, according to Rockwood, US 10BL, satin oxidized clear coated. Okay, so that's not going to be powder coated at all. That's going to be a satin bronze that has a clear coat over it. And I think the reason on most bronze finishes, if bronze is not available, they'll use brass in its place. They're going to put a lacquer or a clear coat over that to help preserve the finish, is the bottom line. Okay. Now, back to the item that we're working on. Link to the product brochure. Now, this is where you're going to be able to see the 2 different sizes, the RM850 and the 851. Flat top, you can also do them with a radiused top or a round top. The 855 and the 856, those are admittedly far less common. We don't sell many of these rounded top units. The RM867 is fairly typical, as is the RM857. We see those. And all of them from time to time, but the one that you're going to see all the time is the RM850. Now, link here to the manufacturer's page. That is a helpful link because it will allow you to review not only all of the Rockwood products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the Rockwood Core catalog, their standard trim and auxiliary hardware, but you won't, well, you may find the RM850 series in there, but you'll find it in the architectural door pulls catalog. of all places. So if we searched RM851, you'll get to that page, and you'll find it near the back of the catalog. And the other coat hooks, floor stops, the other decorative pieces that complement their RM series door pulls. Pencil stops. Okay. Etc. So you might want to review that. You might find something more appropriate. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, the name Rockwood is quite synonymous with very high quality trim and auxiliary hardware. We do a fairly brisk amount of business with them, and I'll tell you, it's hard to do business with any company that doesn't have their act together. It just makes it difficult, and I think we're all somewhat guilty of that, I suppose, time to time. However, Rockwood is quite the opposite. They are a well-oiled machine. You can practically set your clock, your watch, to how they ship very predictably, very reliably. They really understand the manufacturing process, in my opinion, because they're able to continuously, over the period of time, be prompt, reliable, predictable. Material shortages, I really don't ever encounter that with them. And their customer service people are exceptional. You rarely need to get past customer service to tech support on questions. I rarely need to get past them. What that means is their customer service people, the people that answer the phone, they're highly trained and they're very good at what they do. They have a deep understanding of their product line. And in my estimation, the only way to possess that is to simply be working within the industry for a long, long time. So it really makes working with Rockwood very easy. Any questions on the RM851 and a BSP finish or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.